Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. So, with the recent firing of the pinephone for disorderly conduct, it caused me to think about when I first got the pinephone. And I took a look back at the other operating systems I installed or had, and I remember I used to have the phone came with Manjaro, and I remember with that thing, every time you open an application, it would say this application is not complete, and then when I tried to dial a number from the contact list, it didn't know what application to use. So it was a very unfinished edition of Manjaro. And then also, I discovered too that I'd forgotten about it. I flashed to one of those little cards. That thing there, SD card. I flashed Arch Linux or whatever it's called. And I guess that's someone I want to rant about too. Who's naming these distributions anyway? Can you get something a little more friendly to the average person now? I gotta look them up every time because I can't remember what the stupid name is. Couldn't you call it Linux 5 or something like that, or pinephone 7.2, or something that's easy to remember instead of all these weird names that only you guys know, being the Linux Kool-Aid drinkers, because nobody else knows, and it's tough to talk about something when you can't remember the name of it because it's not a memorable naming convention. Anyway, that's rant number one. So I took a look and I noticed I had downloaded Arch Linux ARM, whatever it's called, and I thought I don't remember that. So you know what I did? Of course, I got the pinephone out, slid the SD card in, fired it up, and remembered immediately why I never used it, because there's something wrong with that installation, and when you go into the software settings and you try to install an application, it can't download it from wherever, and you just get error messages from no matter what to try. So it needed troubleshooting from the get-go, so of course I abandoned it and did Mobian instead, for which I've been suffering with for 6 months now. And anyway, so I kind of thought, well, everything's up to date. So should I, have I gotten all the improvements? Because somebody told me that I would get an improvement to the battery lifespan, and every time I check for updates, it's up to date. So it's not coming down. So what I ended up doing is I downloaded a very fresh copy of Arch Linux ARM, 11.21 or something like that, or 11, yeah, really recent. And I put that on the phone. But I'll tell you about that a little later. Something else I want to mention about the fired pinephone. So it was all about missing text messages, 6 of them in total. That I could only find with Modem Manager, and otherwise I would not have known that I didn't receive them, except that I was expecting one of them, and I had to call the person who sent it to find out that he sent it and I didn't get it. So a couple of days later, I'm back on my Samsung, of course, and the first one shows up, dated the original date. So the phone company realized, I guess, I didn't get it or whatever. So I'm waiting for the other 5 to show up. And of course, I moved my SIM card back in the pinephone today. I'll tell you why and a reason. So far they haven't shown up, so I still don't know who sent them. So anyway, the original Linux ARM, see, I've forgotten the name of that, the stupid edition. The one I was just talking about. That was what frustrated me, is that I wanted to see if install the Modem Manager and see if they're still there on a different operating system, and I couldn't install it because I couldn't download it and it wouldn't work. And I downloaded the file as a tar file or whatever, and I couldn't figure out how to unzip it or install it using the terminal. So I gave up on it. It's too much work. I didn't buy this phone to have another job. I have an IT company already. I don't need any more IT work. Thank you. So I downloaded the new one, and of course the software distribution center works properly, and I downloaded the Modem Manager GUI, and it's blank. So those things are gone. So somebody told me, or I read somewhere, that the consensus was they were stuck in the modem. Well, I think they were stuck in the software. So anyway, so I installed the latest version of this Linux operating system, and first thing I discovered, let me look at my list. I have no contacts. So I wanted to get them from the Mobian, because I have a complete list of everything, and I can't find any way to export them and put them in the new installation. And I ducked it, and I read documents to no avail. Does anybody know how to do that? I don't want to have to hand key all those in again. And I think I need to make a master file, because I have a feeling I'm going to be loading this every so often. So, anyway, there were some other things I noticed that changed as well, and I'll talk to you about it in a couple minutes. Yeah, so I have a new installation, so immediately I have to prepare it for use. The first problem is I don't want the Firefox browser. I don't want to search with Google, and I'm unable to figure out how to get Firefox to stop using Google. I can choose to use Duck individually, but I want it to be default, and I can't seem to find a way to get into the settings. And I haven't researched it, so don't tell me it's easy. I really don't want Firefox. I don't want to spend any time on it. I want Brave or Dissenter. I want a secure browser. Firefox talks too much and leaks information. I don't want it. And I don't seem to be able to find anything that supports the ARM technology that is a Brave type browser. So any suggestions would be helpful. So anyway, yeah, so no contacts, wrong browser, modem manager installed, so I can see if it'll be interesting to see if text messages get stuck again with a different operating system, and then we'll know for sure what's going on there. And then, of course, the usual disappointment, Bluetooth still does not work for phone calls. When I open the software app, it's very slow now, and it's all changed. Where's the drop-down filtering that was like on the old one, on Mobian? It sucks. You have to. I select something, I just put the phone down and wait 5 minutes for it to populate. It's terrible. That is not an improvement. Making a more bloated software app is not an improvement. It's a dysfunction. Yes, some good news, however, some good news. And let me check and see if it's still working. It's good news today. Yes, it is. So, last night with a fully charged battery, I installed the OS and left the phone running all night. And my God, the battery was still a decent charge. I can't remember exactly, 50-60% charge. And then this morning it went down to about 20 something, so I've got it plugged in and it's charging, and it's up to 60%. That kind of performance with Mobian is unheard of. So I don't know what Arch Linux doesn't do that Mobian does that consumes power, but it seems like it's another software problem for a coder to determine. And what else? So while browsing the slow software stores, they have like a banner on top now. It's kind of like advertising banner of apps. And one that comes up is Deja Backup or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was called. But one thing I don't like is right now the phone is prompting me to install updates. Normally in my world, before I install an update on something, especially something where I don't want to have to rebuild it, if it doesn't go well, I want to be able to make an image of it, and then be able to take a blank, fresh SD card, stick it in, and restore that image, and have it boot from it and work like it was the original phone. And this application just does folders, so it's a worthless application. In the Windows world, that's been the norm for probably a decade now, more than a decade. It's been the norm for a long time. Image restoring backups, as well as other options too, hypervisors, folders, volumes. Where is the backup app that has those features? I don't seem to see one anywhere. It'd be nice to know where that is. So I've decided to rehire the pinephone with its new OS, and take the list of things I cannot say yes to and see how it measures up. And I must say I'm confident that I'll be disappointed again, but I'm willing to give it a chance. Only because the battery is promising. However, remember my things to say yes to as far as the battery goes. The battery must last 24 hours. Charging a battery twice in one day on a phone that you don't use is unacceptable. My Samsung will run for days if I don't use it, and that's what I expect from this phone. So we'll see if Arch Linux ARM solves the problem, or maybe it's a pinephone hardware problem and nothing's going to solve it. Who knows? So, in conclusion, here we go again. How bad is it going to be is my default reaction, because so far, no matter what you do, it's pitiful. But I'm still searching for the holy grail of the alleged. I'm using it as a daily driver, which I've had a few comments on, but I still don't believe them. But maybe I can be convinced. Anyway, remember, Sparky says, until it's proven reliable, never buy a pinephone or a pinephone Pro. And remember, don't forget to sign up for the pinephone action, all you pinephone Pro brick owners. Let's stand in line and wait for our checks. And won't that be sweet when it happens? Thanks for watching, everybody.